You just received your Handle It Model 600 strut trapper. I know you're excited to start using it, but before you do that, there's a few things we have to do. First of all, as you can see, it arrives in this big, massive box. So as you look at the box, you want to check it over, make sure there's not any big dents or gashes in it. Also, if the box is not there and is just on a pallet, that might be an indication that there could be some freight damage. So walk around, check out the box, make sure everything's good. Another thing I want to note is that sometimes you may receive the unit fully assembled. If you do, that's okay, because sometimes we ship it fully assembled on short destinations or if there's multiple units. So don't worry if it's fully assembled and there's no box, that would be intentional. As I mentioned, everything looks good here, so I think we're good to go to open up the box and then inspect further. So at this point, you could sign the freight paperwork and let the driver go. We open the box. Now we want to do a quick scan of the unit and check some components to make sure there's no damage to them. So as you start at the top, you can see here, we have the fan cover. Just make sure it's not dented in or anything like that. Then going down, we have a limit switch here. Everything looks good there. Next thing we have is the turntable. You want to look over for any major gouges or anything like that. If there's just minor cosmetic damage, it's really not a big deal. Just call us up, we can get you touch-up paint for that. No reason to refuse it for any light damage to the turntable. Moving down, we have the photo eye right here, and we have the full carriage. So we have the rollers here. We want to check and make sure everything is good there. And then we have another limit switch at the bottom, and everything is looking good there. As you can see, everything looks great. So the next thing we're going to want to do is remove all the packaging. Once we do that, we're going to take the unit off of the pallet and set it in place, and then we can tip up the mast and secure that. Now that we have the unit off of the pallet, we're going to want to tip this mast up and secure it to the unit. In order to do that, we want to find the bolts, which are typically going to be in this manual, which we have here. You'll need an 8 and a 6 millimeter Allen wrench in order to do that. Before we tip the mast up, we want to make sure we remove this strap. So now we're ready to tip the mast up. So I'm going to have Cody do that. And as he does that, I'm going to want to watch this cable and make sure it doesn't get pinched. So I'm watching this here, make sure it's feeding through. Everything's good. And now that it's up, we're going to make sure that the holes are aligned. The holes aren't always going to want to line up perfectly because this mast is on a hinge. So what you're going to want to do is go and loosen up these bolts on the hinge. Now that we have the hinge loosened up, we can have Cody move the mast in place so we can line up the holes correctly. Just over this feeling. Perfect. Now we're lined up and we can put these in. Once you have those bolts secure, don't forget to tighten up the hinge bolts again. Now that we have the unit in place, we want to get power to the unit. The good news is that it only takes a 110 plug-in. However, you want to make sure that you're close enough to an outlet so you don't have to use an extension cord to reach it. Because you don't want to use extension cords, you also want to have a dedicated outlet, which also preferably a dedicated circuit. On top of that, you do not want to use GFI outlets because they will trip the breaker. Also, this unit does have anchoring points here and here. So if you want to anchor the unit down, you can do in those places. Now we're going to plug it in. Now that we have the unit plugged in, we can power it up by hitting this green button. Whenever you turn it on, it's going to ask for a reset. So we just hit reset here. And what that would do would bring the turntable to the home position and the carriage down. Now, they're probably in the home position already, so nothing happened, but it did beep back at you to let you know that it did reset. Before we go any further, I want to point out a few sensors and things on this unit. So what I want to do is bring this carriage up to chest level. So just quickly, I'm going to go over to manual mode, and I'll show you more how to do this later. But I'm going to raise the carriage up to about chest height so I can show you some sensors on that. So the first thing I want to point out is the safety pan here. The first thing that people want to do when they see this is loose, naturally they want to tighten it. This is intended to be loose. So notice how if I put this up, it triggers this sensor. And then what would happen is you would get an error code on the board saying SIC. basically it thinks that it's crushing something. So you want to keep this loose. Also, sometimes what happens is this might get dented or, like this, and it is triggering this, and you have that code. So you want to just make sure that everything is clear here and that it's good to go. The next thing I want to point out is this upper limit switch right here. So what that's there for is as the carriage travels up, it lets it know like, hey, you're too high and you have to stop. So if that's busted off or something, it will go too high and you will get an error message and it might get stuck. At the bottom, we have the same limit switch. The next thing I want to do is show you the photo eye. As you can see here, it's in a green status. If there were a pallet in front of it, it would change to orange. So as that pallet's in front of it, it's going to stay there. And when it gets to the top of the pallet, it's not going to see it anymore. So it's going to go green. That's going to tell the machine it's at the top and it needs to go back down. The last thing I want to point out is this strap right here. As you can see, it's nice and tight and everything's been working fine. If for some reason it was loose and it fell out of here, we would have to reattach it. And we have another video that shows you how to do that. So we received the unit, we've inspected it, we put it in place, we powered it up. We went through some of the basics of the sensors that are on this unit. Next, I want to show you how to load the film. And then from there, we have a lot more videos to show you on how you can use all the functions of your Handle It Model 600. Before we load any pallets, we have to load the wrapper with film. So in order to do that, we just grab this, set it over this spindle. You're gonna need 20-inch film for this. Pull some film out and you gotta thread the film through these rollers. So there is a diagram right here showing this. You go around this roller and around this black one here, like that, and back around here. So that way it's pulling like this. And as far as the tension goes on this one, this is mechanical tension. So this is how you set the tension right here. Right like this to make this tighter, left to loosen it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this machine in manual mode and we'll set it to the tension that we want to by messing with this going right and left. And then once it's set, we're pretty much good with how we want to wrap. Now that we have the film attached, I'm going to start this in manual mode and I'm going to test my tension and get it set to where I want it to be. So right now, I'm just going to hit OK on the turntable and get it spinning. So it's going to keep going. Now if I look at this, let's say I want it a little tighter. I go right to tighten. Let's tighten up more. And I kind of like, right there seems good. If I want to loosen it, I will go left. So right there, I like that tension. So I'm going to stop this. And now the tension's set. And I'm going to keep it there for all my other cycles. If I want to loosen it, I just crank it to the left. Now that we have the unit in place, have the film loaded, and we have the tension set, I want to give you an overview of the controls and show you how that works. First thing we have here, this green button is to turn it on. So we'll turn it on. To the left, you have the E-stop button. So if you want to stop it suddenly, just push that in. Don't use that as a way to shut it off. Just use it in emergency. After you use that though, to disengage it, you do have to twist it left and pull out. It's asking for a reset, which we'll hit that reset right now. We talked about that earlier. Whenever you turn it on, it's going to ask for that. From there, we have start right here. So that's just to start a cycle. Then stop and reset as well right here. Then we have program. This is going to allow you to toggle from one pallet to the next, and then also to manual mode. Then we have the OK button here. This is going to be for, if you hold that in when you're in manual mode, it's going to allow you to spin the turntable. And if you hit this while you're trying to program something, it's going to allow you to change different values. And as you're changing those values, you can go plus or minus to choose which value you want. Also, this in manual mode, the plus is going to be for the carriage to go up, and the minus is going to be for the carriage to go down. So that's an overview of the controls. If you stick with us, we have a few more videos where we'll show you how to use automatic mode, how to make changes to a pallet in automatic mode, and also how to use manual mode. Now that we gave you an overview of the controls, we want to show you how to make changes to an automatic wrap cycle. So if you hit the program button, it allows you to toggle through 3 saved pallets. Notice it's moving there, 1, 2, 3, and then manual mode. For now, let's focus on pallet number 1. All right, so notice if you hit OK, it's going to show you what C1 setting is, which is up, down. If you hit OK again, it'll actually allow you to, if you go up, it'll show you the different settings. So you can do up or you can do up, down. So we're just gonna keep it up, down, so I'll hit OK. And then if I hit OK again, now I hit the plus button, I can go to the next value. So C2, that's showing value 2. That's gonna be the number of bottom wraps. So let's just keep that how it is, and we're gonna keep going, and we're gonna hit the plus button to go to 3, and that's gonna be the bottom wraps. So I wanna change that. I could hit OK, and it'll allow me to go up or down. So down, up, we'll keep it at 2. Once I hit OK though, it is gonna bring me back to the first C1 if I hit OK again. So C1, so now I have to go back through. 2 is bottom wraps, 3 top wraps. The fourth one, that's gonna be the turntable speed. Notice at 11, as of now, we don't know how high or low it goes. So if I hit OK, I'm gonna check that out. So now if I go down or up, I can see. So the highest is gonna be 13. If I go down, you can see the lowest is gonna be 5. So I'm gonna go back and put it at the highest. I'm gonna hit OK. And then if I hit OK again, that's saved. I'm back to C1. Now I'm gonna keep going. We're just at the turntable at C4. Let's check out C5. C5 says 65. That's gonna be the up speed of the carriage. So if I hit OK again, we can see how high or low that goes. So if I go up, you can see it goes all the way up to 80. And if I go down, we'll see how low it goes. The lowest value is going to be 15. All right, so I'm going to go back up. I'm going to save it at 80, which is the fastest. One thing to note, if you have taller pallets, you probably want to slow it down so you get more coverage in the middle. Right now we have a short one, so we're going to put it as fast as it goes. So if I hit OK, it's going to save that value. If I hit OK again, now I can go back through and skip the other ones. We were just at C5, which is 80. If I go to C6, that's going to be the down speed. So I'll just keep that at 65 for now, and I'll keep going. C7, notice it's 3.0. What that is the photo eye delay. So that's how many seconds when it sees the top of the pallet, the photo eye, it's going to go for 3 more seconds. So if you want more of an overwrap, you want to increase that number. If you want less overwrap, you decrease it. So I'm just going to keep it how it is. So I'm going to hit OK. And from there now, we have all those savings set. Hit OK again. They're saved for pallet 1. So if I go through pallet 1, I'm going to have all those settings that I just saved. We showed you how to make changes to an automatic wrap cycle. Typically, you'll do that when you first get the unit, and then once it's set, all you're doing is walking up, selecting that cycle, and hitting start. So let's show you how to walk up, select the cycle, and start the program. Right now we're on pallet 2. If I want to get to 1, I just hit program here, program again, and one more time, pallet 1, and then I just hit start. I want to show you guys how to use manual mode now. I'm hoping you're not using it that often because you should be using automatic mode. Automatic mode is a lot more efficient. However, there are some circumstances where you may use manual mode. So let's show you how to do that. So first thing you want to do is hit the program button to get over to the hand right here, which is manual mode. To start, you just hold the OK button down till it beeps. It's going to keep going until I hit it again. Now I can push the up button to bring the carriage up. I'm going to raise it up until I get to the top of the pallet. I got to hold it in for this. Now I'm at the top. I'm going to stop there, let it wrap all the way around. Now I'm going to go down. I'm going to hold it down until it gets to the bottom of the pallet. Now it's at the bottom. I'm going to hit OK in order to stop the cycle.